So Dr. D. Yvonne Young is here with us today. I really was going to read his bio, but I just want him first to tell us about who he is. And then I want him to talk a little bit about where he comes from in his family. Each man that I have on Monday, I asked them to share their blueprint, like their relationship with their mom and their dad. So please introduce yourself, Dr. D. Yvonne Young.
You would see, it was so much easier when you said I would read your bio. I was looking forward to that. Okay. Yeah, man.
I can
talking.
read it now. Because
Uh,
let me tell you something about the doc. The doctor leads, and that's what I love in a man. I love a man that will say, no, I'm gonna need you to read my bio, but I have your bio up on the screen if you would like me to read it.
no, I won't be so crass. It's real. It's funny when you finally get to a point where you actually are successful. One of the things that troubles you, or at least if you've earned your success, you really don't want to come across as pretentious or arrogant, nor do you want to go on this thing where everybody says, well, I'm blessed, because at the end of the day, I really am. But just in short, 10 seasons on Fatal Attraction, TV One's #1 program. Snapped, I'm an expert for ABC 2020. I'm a fellow at Harvard University at the Institute of Coaching, and I have written a few books, very successful coaching practice, and I specialize in behavioral change and transformation in relationships, which I do it from an evidence research-based perspective. So that's just a little bit. Oh, and we do have a new podcast coming out that's being produced by Kathy Sapp, who has produced probably more television shows than I could ever mention here. But between Kathy Sapp, Jaylene Mack, and Ricky Anderson, one of the brains behind Steve Harvey's brand, and Monique and many others. So I'm in a good space. Really, really grateful.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
See, that's not the stuff that I would have read from the bio.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted you to introduce yourself, because what's important is what you want people to know about you. And a lot of times we read the parts because we have to shorten it. And it's like, oh, so much meat here. And I give like accolades to people because I really feel like if you've worked hard, you deserve for people to know that you've been on Snap and you've been on ABC and you're an affiliate and all of these things. I just want people to know about you, what's important to you. So I want to know a little bit about you coming up as a child and into adulthood. I need you to talk just a little bit about your relationship with your mother and your father.
Wow. I was born the fourth child to a mother going through a divorce. So I guess, God transplants people, and I'm one of those people. I was given to my mother's great aunt in a little bitty town outside of Houston, Texas, called Hempstead. And at about 5 years old, that great aunt's daughter had been married for a short time and didn't have any children. And she said, well, Mother, you're a little too old to be trying to raise this little boy.
Wow.
So why don't you let us take him? And Juanita and Cicero, who I call Mom and Dad, raised me. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas, which is very much back then it was an artsy, beautiful town. Now it's kind of like many middle-sized cities. It's been, what, I guess, sequestered, or it's being held hostage by people with substance abuse problems.
Wow.
One side of town. On the other side of town, you see the exact opposite. It's flourishing. There's, the haves and have-nots. It's not really a mixed town in terms of economic availability, but in population, it's a mixed town. But at the end of the day, I grew up there, went to preparatory school, typically the only African-American or one or two, I call it token Black kids, or I guess another way to look at it is fortunate Black kids to get an education that public school could not afford. And I got so sick of it that at my senior year, I went to a school called Dunbar, which damn well that's Black. And it was a hell of an experience. you know, it's like all the time I went to school with the white kids, I never was disrespected. But when I went to Dunbar, all of a sudden I get this nickname, New Niggas. So at the end of
Oh,
the
wow.
day, yeah, it was a trip. But at the end of the day, I can see in hindsight how all of it comes together, you know. And then from, you know, I was very close to my father, grew up in a very almost mythological home. You know, my mother was a state official. She, you know, there was always a salad plate at the dinner table. There was always a three-course meal.
Wow.
I remember one of my friends, my mother went to the pompous black church with the hellos, and my father went to the hood black church. And, you know, and I'd go with daddy all the time. So when one of my friends came over, he said, "Damn, y'all eat like this all the time?" I was like, "Yeah, you know," and because when you grow up as a kid, you don't understand poverty or privilege, you know, and I definitely was fortunate that I had my father came from nothing. My mother picked cotton to put herself through Prairie View. But when it's all said and done, I never saw a taste of that. You know, I was very fortunate to have parents who went out their way to give me the best of the best. And, you know, so I think in hindsight or reflecting, it has well positioned me to have a view on life and living that most people would probably never get that bandwidth. You know, it's like I know what it's like to at 40 ride the bus really for the first time.
Wow.
And I didn't even know you could get a transfer. That's how stupid I was, right? But the thing is, my mother, when mother died, everything had gotten embezzled. So, you know, first time in my life, I was literally without. Thank God my mentor was Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee's husband at University of Houston. And he made phone calls and got me housing on campus. But, you know, I went from having rent houses and flourishing to really not having shit and having to start over.
Whoa.
So yeah, so at the end of the day, it's just so funny, man. I was getting off one bus, getting on the other, and you know, it was that was kind of like being at Disney World for crackheads or something. But I was getting on this bus, man, and I was getting ready to pay again, and the bus driver said, "Well, man, you know, you don't have to pay, bro. You can just get a transfer." And I'm like, "A transfer? Shit, I thought I had one." You know, I'm like, "Damn, I didn't know you could get a transfer." But you know, it's like all of these experiences, and I'm saying this to say to whoever's watching this, I don't care if it's one person or 1,000 people, whatever you're going through, it's connected to what you're meant to do, you
Oh.
know, and
Oh.
that's what happened with me. You know, I was telling someone yesterday, someone really close to me yesterday, that I remember a day at U of H. Now, I need to give you the backdrop. I
Yeah.
was producing uh, concerts and shows for people like the Temptations and Luther Vandross, and I had retired when I was like in my mid 30s. So to go from that to being broke, that is like, you know, I went to bury my mother. Daddy died when I was 23. I'm 39. Mother's dying, and I'm an only child. So I had no clue. If somebody would have told me, well, the people that are wiping her butt with you and praying with you are going to be the very people that embezzle up most of your shit. You're going to be broke at 40. And I'm like, whoa. So, but that's what happened. And I remember, you know, my TED talk, one of my TED talks just hit 2.4 million views on the laws of attraction. And this was when it wasn't a TED talk, man. It was me talking to myself and wishing Ted could help me or whatever. But I'm walking around at U of H and I'm reading this book, this Abraham Hicks book about laws of attraction. And it said, live your life today like you envision your life in the future. Okay. So I know some of y'all don't know what a cricket phone is, but that's all a brother could get. So I had my cricket phone and I'm walking around playing like I'm Dr. Young. I went to the mall again, took the damn bus, right? Get to the Galleria, which is this really posh mall in Houston. And that's where Neiman's and Saks and all the nice stores are. And I'm just walking. and in my mind, I'm buying everything I want. I walk by the Breitling store, you know, okay, cool. I want that. Walk by the Movado store, and I'll, you know, walk by the Cole Haan store and the Ferragamo store.
Mm,
I'm saying this because I really, somebody just needs to hear this.
yes, me.
And I was just writing checks saying, okay, well, I just bought that. I just bought this.
Mm,
Well, now I have all that shit. You
yeah.
know, now if I'd be honest, I could walk through a mall and buy pretty much anything I want. You know, I'm blessed to have a nice vehicle. I'm blessed to, in the middle of COVID, be thriving to some degree when a lot of other people are suffering.
Wow.
And I'm saying that to say to you, be careful what you think because you will become your thoughts.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you just tuned in, you're tuned into hashtag Coffee with Tia. This is MCM Man Convo Monday, and we're here with Dr. D. Yvonne Young, who just told us a little bit about his backdrop of how he grew up. And when you talk about mom and dad, you're talking about your aunt and your uncle.
Well, actually, cousins. Juanita would be my second cousin in terms of family logistics, but you know, that's my mama and daddy. That's who raised me. That's who took me to practice, to karate practice, to football practice.
I just want
And,
people to understand that
yeah.
when people love you to a certain degree, because some
Hmm.
people probably came in a little late and they didn't realize that you went from your auntie to your cousin saying, Mom, you too old. Let us
Hmm.
have him. We want to raise him as our own. And
Hmm.
people do. So I want
Hmm.
those people to understand that because there's a lot of people, I want you to talk about this because it's one of my questions, so we can segue right into it. There's a lot of people who have abandonment issues and anger issues against their biological parent because the
Yeah,
biological parent could not do what they needed to do, so they did what was best for their child. So can you talk
hmm.
a little bit about that?
Man, I'm just gonna tell you like this. Don't be pissed at a person that was doing the best they can. You know, all of us. I mean, I can remember being a Cub Scout master, and I can think when I went back to U of H and I was too embarrassed to be around my kids having everything lost. They're used to daddy with limos and money. And I figured, okay, well, I'll just go finish pre-med and, you know, when I get to be Dr. Young, I'll be able to provide. And I missed 7 years, more than seven, I think, out of my kids' lives, uh, feeling embarrassment and guilt because of what happened. But I'm saying that because I could imagine that's probably what my mother had gone through. You know, here's this chick, she's really pretty, cute figure. You know, it's 1960, you know, and she's pregnant, getting a divorce. But she's not pregnant by ex-husband. She's pregnant by a friend that her sister's dating, her brother, right? I got some double cousins, you know, that's some Creole shit. But
Wow.
bottom line is she's pregnant, you know, and I'm born in 1961. So that wasn't exactly a time to be walking around talking about you pregnant. And back in the day, when something like that happened, people would typically go give that baby to some older folks in the country somewhere for them to raise them.
Right.
And the story goes, because I didn't hear it, but my who I call my granddad told my mom, he said, Rose, you can't take care of this baby. You got 4 kids. Let us keep him. And you know, and I'm quite sure it's probably a let us keep him for now, probably a conversation, but it was divine intervention.
Mm.
And you know, it's really hurts me because like when I talk to my mother's still living, my biological mother.
Oh.
And you know, when I would talk to her, when I first met her, I think I was 20 and 21, something like that. And she felt so bad. You know, I mean, we literally, I was in Chicago on business. I was an analyst, senior analyst for Dun& Bradstreet. And I had this nice little hotel room, and my mom and I met for the first time. And we sat up and talked all night. I mean, literally, like some high school kids. And I teased, I said, this is the first time I ever been in the bed with a chick and didn't, you know, I was teasing her all night and we just talked, you know, but she and I laughed and, but you know, stop tripping. I mean, your ass is grown. And
Thank
sometimes,
you.
yeah, sometimes, you know, you have to stop and think God had a better plan. Had I grown up where my mother and my siblings were, I would not have been afforded preparatory school. And I wouldn't have had, two or three new cars by the time I was 21 years old. I would not have had several scholarships to play sports. I would not have lived the life that I've lived, and if I started even on these few minutes we have articulating to you my experiences, some people would be like, damn, dude, you done had a life, man. And other people be like, he lying. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even gonna waste my time sharing some of these experiences I've had, but it's almost a Forrest Gump-like story because I remember, being 26 years old and sitting in BB King's trailer, and he was calling me the Mr. Young executive. I remember having dinner with Billy Eckstein and Michael Henderson. I remember my birthday party and having Shabba Ranks at my birthday party. So none of that would have happened. And again, these moments don't really mean much, right? They don't mean much, but when you add them all together,
yes,
it's a trajectory.
yes,
Like when I met you, you were the big leg girl. That's what everybody was calling you on the stage. Not me. I was just being a nice guy. But we were at Lucinda Cross's Activate event in Atlanta, I think, and I was sharing the stage and with a dude who became a really cool acquaintance of mine, Darren Henson, the actor and the choreographer. And Darren and I were sharing a stage in Atlanta when we met. But none of that would have happened, man, had we, had my life, had God not intervened, had my mother not had the courage to say, look, you know what, you're right.
I can't do this.
I can't. I mean, I feel like shit. I'm crying, and I'm quite sure that poor woman, she left her baby,
Right.
But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have a blue dot on my name with a million plus people looking at my content every month if I didn't have the highs and lows that were part of this narrative.
Wow. Oh my goodness. So there's so many people, right? And I really had this and I talked to you about my son before, my oldest, he's 25 now. And you always keep it real. You girl, stop calling me a baby. I remember that.
Yeah.
Your show. You like, please, you doing
Yeah, that Negro's grown.
Yeah, that's what you say. You said, listen, that's one of the problems. Y'all with this calling your son's baby and all that. And my son has this, and we're working through it.
Mm-hmm.
The sense of entitlement that my mistakes are his excuse. Why didn't you use your mom's? You could have used that and ran with the ball. Like, I didn't have this, and my mother gave me away. What made you shift to another mindset at that young age to say, I'm not going to let this hinder me. I'm going to let this prosper me?
Well, I'm going to be honest. When Nita was batshit crazy sometimes, meaning my adopted mother, she had been raped walking from Hempstead to Prairie View. And back then, if you raped a Black woman, police didn't do nothing about that. Not in those little country ass towns, right? And today they still don't,
Right.
In many instances anyway. But the truth of it was Cicero was a praying, humble man. And one thing he said one day, he said, I didn't need all this. He said, we wouldn't have lived in these neighborhoods and I wouldn't have put you in all these private schools. That's your mama, right? And Juanita whatever I did wasn't never good enough. And I remember one day I even told her, I said, Mama, I can't do shit right for you. Damn, when she was dying.
Wow.
She was on her deathbed. I was changing her diaper, and both my parents died in my bedroom at home in the house I grew up in. Because we don't put our old people in nursing home. We just don't do that shit, right? So I'm sitting there, and I realized, I know the night my father died, I knew I'd lost the best friend I'd ever have. They came to get his body, and they bought that gurney in to put his body on. I said, you're not bringing that shit in the house. And I picked up my father's body in my arms and carried it out the house and put it on the gurney. And never had that man weighed so much. And I mean, I'm not a big guy, but if you can see me, I'm not little. I bench 325 and I can, leg press, right under 1,000 pounds. So I'm not some little dude. But I felt very, very incapable. When mother died, I went through hell there by myself. But see, all of that,
Mm.
you can't look back talking about my mama didn't do this. You need to grow your punk ass up. And I'm
Mm.
telling that to your son if he's listening. And I don't care if he likes me or whoever, whatever brother needs to hear it. Because, man, you sitting around acting like pardon my language, acting like a little bitch because God positioned your life to have certain ingredients in it.
Mm.
I am, I'm a doctor. I'm a behavioral doctor. My background is neuroscience. And one of the things about a baby going through the birthing canal is travail. That shit ain't comfortable. Got this little orifice and your big ass head is coming out. But if you don't go through the travail, there's certain chemicals in the brain that won't proliferate to the extent that they do if you get a C-section. That's why a baby that goes through a natural birthing process is healthier than a baby that comes out of a C-section. And the difference is you can't really measure the difference because, what you gonna do? Go back and push them through the vagina? I mean, you don't know it, but we in neuroscience and those of us in medicine, we know that naturally delivered anything is better than an intervention.
Right.
And the other part of it is, it's what you do with it. In America, especially Black America, you can have two brothers. One is a crackhead, one is a federal judge or a prosecutor, right? Same mama, same daddy. And one, or you could have, like a lot of dudes, I have the NBA and NFL for clients, a lot of pro athletes and A-list celebrities. And, they'll say things like, if it hadn't been for my dad not being there, my mother suffering, and this would be the damn crackhead at the church and the homeless ministry I'm talking to. But shit, I've had that same story from A-list celebrities and NFL and NBA players that if it hadn't been for, So long story short, just to get to the point is, stop acting like a little bitch. I mean, whatever happened, there's a divine plan, and whatever you were stripped of, whatever you were denied, stop blaming people. People do the best they can with what they have to work with.
Yes.
Even as I sit here before you, I have one daughter. I don't have one daughter, I have several daughters, but I have one daughter that, me and her mom got married. I married her mom because she had long hair and a big butt, just being honest. And I was 21 years old, 20. Her mom was maybe a year or so older than me. And we ended up having Jessica. So, and I'm counseling my daughter and her husband right now in their marriage, right? So they both come to me about, so I just said, we're going to formally do this like you're one of my clients.
Yes.
And in my practice, one of the things we cover, well, several things we cover on 1/3 of it is family history, cultural and social influences, personality type, from a clinical standpoint, validation system, psychological triggers, and how you handle conflict. Knowing that allows you to understand, okay, who I am, why I'm this way, what influenced it, and how much of this shit is my own doing and how much of it is happenstance, right? The other part I do in my practice is, neurological intervention, where I use neurolinguistics and positive psychology to help rewire the brain because the brain is plastic. And what I mean by that is, well, just a quick explanation for this. Every time you have a thought, you get an electrical impulse to different parts of your brain. Every time you interact with your environment, something stimulates those impulses. When those impulses happen, you have neurotransmitters and hormones released because of that neural activity. So part of your behavior is brain chemistry. So you got your brain, you got your mind, and then you have history. So when I was talking to my daughter, I said, when I met your mama, the influence for my decision making was part growing up lonely, an only kid, but I was a privileged kid and I was a fairly decent looking guy.
Right.
I saw your mother's butt and them legs and that hair, and I didn't see the person, to put it in a Kappa Noop way. What's up, Phi? Saw that ass. I was like, damn, right? But not making decisions based on consequence and understanding and whatever. Long story short, a couple of years later, we're married. Shouldn't have gotten married. She wasn't the right person for me. She wasn't mature. I wasn't mature. And we would go college graduates, soon to be. And Jessica's born. And I'm like in her life, knee deep. That was my little mini me. My first daughter I got just being a hoe, but that one I was actually married.
Right.
And, thank God I bonded with her.
Yes.
So well before she was 6.
Wow.
And all these years, her mother kept coming back trying to get money. She saw, okay, you producing Luther, you got this car, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, ah. And the relationship between me and mom got, this chick just keep coming out to my wallet. I want to see my daughter, and you keep going, I keep seeing you, messing with dudes that have a Corvette. What the, right? And so the thing many men do, I took out, without intending to do it, the anger and frustration I had with her mother estranged me from her.
Wow.
So at 20 years goes by.
Wow.
Now I'm gonna show you how deep this is now. Almost, 20 some years. And I'm at U of H walking. And I see this chick. I'm like, damn, she looked familiar. Now, child support paid, money going there, because through my mother, and my family, my daughter was well taken care of. She didn't want for nothing, but we didn't have a physical interaction or relationship.
Right.
So one day, this dude says, man, that chick looked just like you. I'm like, yeah, she does, don't she?
Wow.
Well, it was actually her.
Wow.
Yeah. But we just never talked. Even after that, it was kind of like this, let me leave well enough alone. If she wants to talk to me, she'll come to me.
Right.
So then a few years go by, mother dies, all this stuff happens. And the same daughter, I get a phone call. She calls the house. She said, man, I speak to Juanita. And, I'm in my feelings. My mama just died. I'm like, who? And it was her. And then that really pissed me off. You didn't say my grandmother. You don't call my mama, but
Right.
Yeah. So I go into that mode and I'm hurting and all this at the same. So maybe a couple more years go by.
Wow.
And I get a message on my Facebook public figure page. Now just figure the optics to me on both sides. Right. Optics to her is, okay, she told me, she said, she's got aunts and uncles. And she said, none of them, including her grandmother, ever said anything bad about me. They said that, I was a great dad. And every time I was every time they saw me, she was with me more than her mother, all that as an early in her childhood. And she wondered, well, what the hell happened? Because if this guy is who my mama said, one of her siblings out of 5 people and 2 grandparents would have said, this Negro ain't shit, right?
Right.
But she said everybody kept saying I was a great father, which I was, right? And so she reaches out to me, and so my side of the story is, okay, you seeing these posts I'm putting up about me on Fatal Attraction, on CBS, best-selling author, you coming from my wallet, you just like your mama. Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? And then this is so funny. One of her friends ended up being a client/patient of mine.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just all this, that's what I'm saying. God has a weird way of doing stuff. And she came to me and she said, well, have you ever really talked to her? She just wants to get to know you. I don't think she's after your money. She's an engineer with a master's degree and she's successful.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, I called her back and I said, look, let's just take our time and see what's up. So right after I meet her, here's how I want you to see how the Satan works.
Wow.
She says, well, Dad, I'm getting married. Can you help with the wedding? I'm like, I knew it. Here this bullshit go, because, men, here's what we do. We always set ourselves up to get pimped and get mad when somebody pimps us. We go in a club, flashing money, flashing cards. We go and take some chick to some restaurant that she probably couldn't afford to go to on her own, or she could, but we just trying to floss, one of the two. And we just want to hit it. We just want to get that thong off, right? And then we get mad when we end up with a hoe. Well, dude, you went after a hoe and now you're mad that you caught one, right?
Right.
And then when you get women that actually mean you some good, you can't tell because you've heard all the stuff the hoes tell you. And now you got this good woman telling you stuff, but that shit all sounds just alike.
Oh.
And you don't realize the problem is you. It ain't the women.
Oh.
Right? Right? Yeah. So, and then there's a part of us that externalizes this dysfunctional perception or these predilections, and we externalize that to our children. We externalize that to ex-wives, ex-fiancés, girlfriends. When the real truth of it is your chicken's coming home to roost one by one. Yeah. So the point I'm making is like now, me and Jessica talk so damn much that it's like the time apart never happened.
I love it.
And, we're very close. And, so like a lot of the stuff I know in neuroscience and brain chemistry and the psychosocial development of the human mind, what have you, that imprint from when she was little took.
Yes.
If you bond with your children before age 6 or 5, it's there. Now, you may have to dust that shit off because life happens, but it's always there. And so I'm saying this to say to moms and dads who have estranged relationships because you mad at the baby mama or baby daddy, get over it. Now, your kid may not be shit. I mean, don't be mad, but, I have 3 beliefs on this. One, I think there's this divine part where God takes away and puts in your life what you need when you need it and when you don't need it. The other part of it is we have free will. We can always screw up something, right?
Yes.
And then the last part of it is people are who they are. So I've got mentees that call me Pops, and I got some dudes I mentored that 10 years older than me. But at the same token, those mentees are the daddy's the dope man, mama's a crackhead, right? And I can think of 3 or 4 of them that I've helped put in college and that are officers in the Navy and in the Army.
Wow.
Then I also know guys who were born with silver spoons in their mouth that ain't shit. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's between those 3 elements. And again, that was the foundation for my way of approaching behavioral change in my practice is once you figure out, okay, this is your shit. This is cultural and social and biological, nurture versus nature type thing, genetics. And this is now that you have an opportunity, what you gonna do?
Right.
And I think at the end of the day, number C, as that old ignorant woman in my daddy church would say, number C, is it. It's like when you know better, do you do better?
Yes. Oh my goodness. I love you so much, Dr. D. Ivan Young. I'm gonna ask one more question because we had 9:35 and I promised you it would be 30 minutes.
Okay. I got 5 extra.
Okay.
I don't want to mess up over your other guests though. So
No, we're good. I can keep you here all night because the one thing I have always loved about you is you are straight, no chaser. And too many people are sugarcoating for men. And too many men are male bashing. Like I see these platforms that these guys are on. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit with you too, but I have like 52 questions, but I'm gonna narrow them down. And I see these guys telling women on these platforms, like even Steve Harvey, not in a bad way, act like
yeah, he and I have the same attorney, so I got to tread really light in that area. But yeah,
I'm just saying, not in a bad way, but to tell women that this is what you don't want from a man. I already know what I don't want from a man, and I already know what I need from a man. Then there's another couple guys on platforms that are just ladies, men this and men that, and men and men and men, and the ladies are on it. But it's for me with these two of these main guys. I won't say their names because that's your money, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's male bashing. Why not go in?
Can I cut to the chase on that?
Cut to the chase.
First, I need to say, Ricky, if you're listening, don't be mad at me. Steve, if you're looking at this, or Rashawn, you know, this is just my view of this, okay?
Help me out.
So I'm not going to knock Steve Harvey. If anything, I respect the shit out of him. He's a self-made man. And everything I know of him, he's a pretty cool guy,
Yeah.
okay? So I want to put that out there first. But philosophically, I don't agree with the think like a man strategy or approach for women. I think there may be some components and ingredients in it that can be facts, but the greater truth is something else. Okay, so just putting that out there. Facts and the greater truth are two different things.
Yes.
And then these other brothers that, you know, well, you know, and a man need to love a woman, man, sit your punk ass down, because what you're doing is, it's kind of like some of these pastors, you know, you pimping from the pulpit of relationships, right?
Pimping from the pulpit of relationships.
yeah, the relationship church, you know, you in the pulpit pimping, and you saying what people want to hear, right? But here's my take on this. Number one, most men, especially brothers that have a nice body, that are articulate, that don't need your ass to loan them $20, that have a decent credit score. We're not desperate. Matter of fact, if we've been married, many of us have had the slap on the hand from the family court of child support and alimony. So we ain't trying to marry your ass. We really end up in relationships more than we want to try to just jump up. So first thing is, ladies, when you see some dude, I'm looking for a wife, run, because that dude's full of shit. You know, real successful men aren't desperate for a woman. If anything, we could pretty much sleep with and have any woman we want if you fit the demographics I just mentioned. You know, like I'm getting gynecological shots from my Facebook Messenger DMs 24/7.
Whoa.
You know, and I'm talking about, these ain't no ugly broke women, because them kind of women, well, some of them delusional women come for a brother, but the women that come for me are the dudes want to smash, right? So that ain't it. The other part of it is, when women think what you sitting on right now, for me to find a nice non-tacky, that was tacky too, but you know, what you got between your legs and your lips, we can get that when we can't get fresh air. So women that think, well, you know, he ain't getting the cookie. Well, boo, we don't even know if your cookies are good, number one, or clean. So your cookie ain't all that, because at the end of the day, I could probably call up a chick and have her give you some. So if you think that my trophy is your panties coming off, you're delusional. Pay these damn bills every month. It's $10,000 in overhead I have every month. Pay that, you know, impress me. But at the end of the day, that's not a big deal. So when women overesteem that you gonna have sex with us, you gave us some oral sex, or you know, whatever, we've been getting that in the parking lot because we didn't even feel like going to the hotel. So that ain't no biggie. The real truth is desperate ass men that don't have shit. The dude that moves in your crib. Because to be honest, if you don't have your resources together, you don't have no damn business dating, no way. You know, I'm just being real, man. Because if you got to give a damn about how much dinner cost, you bought the chick a damn pair of shoes or some panties or something, you know, nigga, really, you know, at the end of the day, you're a perp. You don't have your shit together. And these, I love you, where you going, these attentive dudes, you better watch it, sister, because that Negro gonna be sniffing your drawers and stalking you and going through your phone and your purse when you ain't looking, or while you looking if he's abusive. wants to be the warden in your life instead of,
Mm.
but
Ladies,
the
got your
truth of it,
notebooks out.
huh?
I said, I hope the ladies got their notebooks out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm just keeping it 100, man, because I headlined the Great Love Debate Tour in a lot of major cities in America. I was one of many, one of the top featured experts on this tour in LA and New York and DC and Atlanta. So, I'm not talking my opinion. I'm talking from science and from
Yes.
study and from evidence. But the real truth is you guys outnumber us. You outnumber us just in general about 50-1, right? Throw in brothers that are tasting their words or gay dudes, throw in locked up brothers, throw in men that y'all don't find attractive, throw in non-charismatic brothers, throw in married men, you outnumber us 300 or 400 to 1.
Right.
And see, unlike you all, you guys look at us and you think about, okay, what kind of father would he be? You look at us thinking, well, we can grow old together. You marry us hoping we'll grow up and change. We marry you hoping you won't grow old and change. What you won't do, there's a chick over here. So when y'all go and take some advice saying, well, you know what, I ain't gonna sleep with you for 90 days. Go ahead. All we gonna do is go get some head and some what from this other chick that we've been hitting, our secretary or whoever the hell we got. You think that shit really works on us? You're stupid. Now what we're gonna find out, or what you may find out, is 90 days later, we're not even compatible sexually, and he may suck in the bed, you may suck in the bed, and then this Madonna complex you've established, he's never gonna feel as open with you as he feels with little freaky mama that she don't leave nut. You don't need a towel with her, so to speak. Well, you pretty much set yourself up for failure is what the hell you did perpetrate, right? Yeah, because we looking at you like, oh, that's my girl, man. She ain't like everybody else. Yes, she is, because there's some dude that cracked her back and made it burp. So you thinking you got this angel? She's a woman. She farts. She come out the bathroom. I mean, she's y'all human just like you, right? And the men that women go through, Bible boy Billy, who's up at the church, that bisexual, you don't even know what you got, but he like what you like.
Wow.
And then there are women that say, well, if you can't take me the way I am, any man that takes you the way you are, you need to get rid of his ass, because he's not evolving himself, because people expect from you what they expect from themselves.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? So if you are dating a brother that's really dynamic, he's grinding, you need to be grinding. He's well educated, you need to go get your damn education. Because I have been out on dates with women that were fine until they opened their mouth. And I was like, my God, is this girl this damn dumb?
Uh-oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can't, and I'll say this to a lot of women, you guys gotta stop dating beneath yourself.
Oh.
Y'all go find Build-A-Bear. Lisa, I'm using your thing. You go get this Build-A-Bear brother, right? You gonna build you a bear, right? And you figure, if I just do this, that fool ain't never gonna be shit. You are sitting up here trying to take a jackass and groom him and board him and get him a saddle and put him in the Kentucky Derby. It'll never happen. You need to leave that jackass out there in that field, right? And so there's all of these misconnects.
Yes.
On both sides.
Yes.
Men go and get some woman that, and I tell brothers, you want to see a woman, look at how she's taking care of her kids. And let's say it's a situation like mine where my mom had to give me up. Hell, it took courage to do that. It took courage to let grandmama raise the kid. But if your mama stayed in your life, or knew, okay, my life, pardon me, Trey, this is going to be early morning and this ain't television, thank God. I'm doing CBS tomorrow, so I'm saying everything I can't do on CBS tomorrow. If your mama's so fucked up that she can't be in your life because she's drug addicted or out in the streets or with some abusive dude, you need to thank her. You don't need to be mad at her because
Right.
she really is sparing you instability and dysfunction, right? But you cannot go into these things saying, you know, and I'm waiting on my husband. I'm dating with a purpose. You need to take your fat ass somewhere and lose weight. Go get your education. You don't need a degree. Go get your certification. You get a license or a certificate, but get your shit together.
Yes.
You know, if you're a man, you have no business at all doing anything but going to the dollar movie and being friends with a chick. Don't be trying to be nobody's man and she got to give you her credit card to pay for some shit. You know, or you got to say, baby, can I hold $50? Not because you just don't have it with you, but you really need it. You don't have no business trying to be somebody, date some chick, man. Just, I mean, be in a relationship, dating, yeah, get you some, but relationship, you're not relationship ready, right? And then ladies, this other thing with your kids is stop creating these little effeminate boys or having your daughter think a chick is a better option because you keep picking these sorry ass men.
Oh.
You know, and I'm not saying don't send me no LGBT letters, but I just want you to just understand this. When your daughter turns into the protector of her brothers and sisters and her mother, because mother keeps picking penis over a person,
Oh my.
or a pocketbook over potential,
Oh.
your daughter becomes the masculine energy in the house. She becomes a protector. So don't get mad when she goes and gets with a chick that
Right.
appreciates that energy. Or if your son hears you always talking about men, and then when there is a man around and he tries to tell that little bastard to act like he got some sense, stop talking back and snap him right, you want to say, don't you talk to my son like that. Well, that's why your son's fucked up right now.
Whoa.
You know, you wouldn't discipline him. And then there are people out here that are married because they come to my office 24/7. And again, I don't take everybody. So I have a waiting list of clients, but you know, they come and they want me to fix this sorry ass man you've created, and they still won't own it. You know, they still won't stop and say, well, you know what? I fucked up my kid. I did this. You know, what I love, like I've had maybe and I've been in practice going on 15 years. So and the about 10 of those years, when a sister comes to me and says, Dr. Young, I have messed up my son.
Yes.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Right? Because I tell the sister, I'll be like, well, first, you know where this work got to start. It ain't with your son.
Right.
It's with you.
Yes.
And when that woman says, I'm all in, see, if that happens, we still may not fix her son, but we won't continue contributing and enabling this fool, and God will fix it, right?
Yes.
But typically, if you catch it and mom is like, look, I fucked up, doc. What do I do?
Yes.
And we go through those 12, sometimes 24, sometimes 36 weeks. I've seen transformations from dudes that were like really spoiled and dysfunctional, and mom and dad, and you could read it in some of my reviews, have come back and said, you know, Dr. Young, thank you, because, you know, especially with an only son or just two boys and it's just mom, they've come back and said, man, you saved my life, bro, because I didn't realize, number one, that my mom was just doing the best she could, and no wonder I keep, you know, I don't want to be no sorry ass dude, steady taking and not giving. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah. But you know, long story short, you can't fix a problem until you admit it's there.
Yes.
And the biggest problem all of us need to fix is the one that's in our mirror.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes. Because I had a real conversation with my son about me. And I told him, I'm taking my boulders off your back so you can no longer use them as an excuse. I know where I messed up. I know the things that I did. I know my shortcomings, but I needed to have that conversation with him And I
Mm-hmm.
have so many women that get angry with me or feel some kind of way when I say,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of y'all just need to have a conversation with your grown son. Because
Yeah.
we did some things in front of, like, I used to drink shots in front of my kids when they were little boys. Like, I had all
Mm-hmm.
this, a whole bunch of just garbage going on around them, while all the
Mm-hmm.
while, I write about this in my book, while all the
Mm-hmm.
while they were trying to figure out how to be a man. But if your
Mm-hmm.
mother is throwing back shots, cursing like a sailor, partying in the house, all kind of stuff, I did, driving drunk with them in the car, I've done from A to Z. But I had to have a
Yeah.
conversation with them that
Yeah.
you don't get to use me as an excuse, because that was my stuff. So I just applaud you for saying that. Mothers, women, you need to come and say, listen, Doc, I messed up, but I
Yeah. Yeah.
get on the crazy train with him now, because now I'm further damaging him as an adult. Because a lot of men, and you talk about healing, men healing and men
Mm-hmm.
help. Where do they begin that process?
Well, one, stop smoking weed with your son and turning up with your kids, right? Stop going to the club with your kids, because at the end of the day, you're just reinforcing stupidity. And what you're really doing is you're telling, I heard Kevin Hart say this, I'm daddy. Like with my kids, I take them out to eat. When I take my kids out to eat, I pick up the tab. I'm daddy, and I don't give a shit if it's $1,500. I'm daddy. You're not gonna feed me, right?
Right.
Now, my son-in-laws, I got one that he's getting it together. I've got one that's I've been mentoring for years. He's really thriving.
Right.
When we go out to eat, Dad, I got this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And then, my son, his little ass is still learning, right? He's being me when I was his age. But he called me one day, he said, "Hey man, I need this." I said, "Bro, I can't help you no more."
Right.
And he got pissed. And I said, "Well, hold up, pump your brakes, pimp." And I said, "Now, when you needed your car note and your down payment for the car, who paid it? When you in the hospital sick, when you went to school, who? Okay." I said, "You didn't get that shit from your mother." I said, "But here's what's up. I was empowering you and you were doing what I said and you were making honor roll and dean's list. Now you doing what you want to do, but you want to benefit from people that are taking my advice.
Oh,
So you want to call your sisters, you want to call other people." I said, "I love you, but my nigga, I can't help you,
right.
because at the end of the day, if I help you, I'm hurting you."
Oh,
Now, I know this much. My son is brilliant. I'm not worried about it. He likes to have his own money, and in his mind, he doesn't want to ask nobody for nothing. But I tell him, I said, "Bro, you got to understand delayed gratification," which was one of my problems. I said, there comes a point in time where you got to stop getting what you want, so that you can position yourself to have everything you need and want, right?
wow.
And that's what's going on with a lot of us now. A lot of women are making this stupid ass decision to not come to grips and own it. And like some people, well, the Lord said that God gave your ass a brain. God gave you, God said, "In all you're getting, get a good understanding. People perish for a lack of knowledge," right? How can you honor me, a God whom you cannot see, and you yet defile your brother every day?
Oh,
All this. So at the end of the day, there comes a place in your life where you can't keep putting out this bullshit and trying to turn it into chocolate.
right.
It is just that. That's not shredded wheat. That's what the bull left in the barnyard. That's bullshit.
Yes.
And you can keep feeding it to yourself all you want, but you're walking around here, one foot in, one foot out. Now you're taking your kids with you because you can't admit your ass is wrong.
Hmm.
And your validation system is you get an approval code, you got a car and a house.
Right.
When you're supposed to have that shit. The deal is, what kind of evolution can you see? Can you look at your life and say, okay, well, 2 years later, how many more books have you read?
Right.
What paradigm shifts have you had? How many people did you realize you needed to cut out your circle and get rid of? And as you start evolving, the one thing that comes with evolution is transformation. The one thing that comes with transformation is change.
Yes.
And that means that you're going to disconnect some relationships. That means that you're not going to go where you used to go. You're not going to do what you used to do. And when people come and make that statement, I had this woman do this. I was in New York doing this interview once, and this chick calls in the WBLS and says, well, Dr. Young, you saying all that, but see, that's my friend. And we've been friends. And every time I need $20 or $30, she got me. And I said, have you ever, I wanted to say you dummy, but what I said, look, have you ever stopped to think if you wasn't messing with this heifer, you wouldn't need $20 or $30?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So some of the people that you're beholding to is because misery loves company, not because you're on a mission. And if you're on a mission, when the mission's over, you go that way and you go this way.
Yes, yes. A reason, a season, and a lifetime. And some people
there you go.
do not get it. Some people connect through dysfunction. Some people's whole relationship is based on dysfunction. And we got to learn that in order to change, in order to grow, you have to change. And I use the analogy all the time of a plant. I love plants. I have a whole bunch of them. If the plant is not growing if it's not changing.
Yeah, there you go.
Seed, then you see it come through.
And you got to repot it. Sooner or later, you're going to have to take it out the familiar environment for it to thrive. Yeah. You're going to have to put it in another environment, right? Yeah. So but that's real right there. But I'll say this, Trey, the biggest thing that I can give your audience is a wake-up call and just say, stop thinking about what other people think. It's what you know about you that really matters. And at some point, it ain't gonna be all on God. That's kind of like you planning your retirement off winning the lottery. Shit ain't gonna happen. But you have to. God gave you a talent and a gift, whatever that is. You know it because it's the one thing even your enemies have to admit that you're good at.
Ooh.
Perfect it. Perfect it, qualify it, get some paperwork, some authentication, get some licensing around it. Get something that authenticates your prowess other than you and your ego. And once you do that, the difference between some of the best cooks in America and guys that are chefs is a piece of paper and a platform, right? And you'd never get the platform, you don't have the paper. See what I'm getting at?
Yes.
I'm one of the top. I was named the top Black life coach in the world a couple of years ago. And what they don't see is I'm Dr. Young. And yesterday I was studying for 6 hours straight, not because I have to.
Right.
But why in the hell would you pay me to get what you got last year?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? And the reason that I'm one of the top, and you'll see my fee structure reflects that, is because you can't get, one of my mentors at Harvard said, people can't get what they get from you from anybody else. Right. You are in a zone all by yourself, and I am, and I'm not bragging. I work my ass off to be there.
Yes.
So let's raise the bar rather than sit at one drinking.
Whoa. And like you said, I'm sitting here studying for 6 hours, so don't judge me or try to compete with me if you ain't sitting and studying somewhere for 6 hours to hone your skill or your craft. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you. If you just tuned in, you're tuned in to #CoffeeWithT, and this is Man Convo Monday with Dr. D. Yvonne Young. I need you to tell the people where they can find you, how they can connect with you, and how they can get their whole entire life together.
Well, Yvonne is spelled like Ivan, and put the D in front of it. So Dr. D. Yvonne Young, and again, it's spelled like Ivan on everything. I'm on the TEDx website, on YouTube. I'm on everything under my name. To go to my website, just leave the period out, DRDIVANYOUNG.com. But if you want to find me, you can, you will. You found me today. God always puts in your path what you need. So obviously, if you're listening to this right now, you needed it.
Yes. And please, people, stop making excuses. One thing I love about Dr. Young is that he's straight, no chaser. We had some serious conversations because we had a couple radio shows together, interviews, and he used to just tell me stuff. And I used to be like, okay, but it was the truth. And it stung.
Yeah.
About my son, because we have sidebar conversations, and I was just like, you know what? And everything you said and told me has come to fruition. Everything you said, girl, if you don't, that's you. That's you, own it and stop. And everything you said has come to pass, because a couple weeks ago, maybe last month, we weren't even speaking because he was disrespectful. And I was just like, how you gonna bite the, wait, and you popped in my head. And that's when I reached out. I said, yo, Dr. Young said this was gonna happen. And it did. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your truth. I appreciate your light. I hope that I know that God will continue to bless you in the overflow, because you so deserve it from your hard work. And like you said, I study for 6 hours. I don't have to, but I do because I need to give more. So.
Well, I don't like well, I'll just be honest. I don't like coach, and I don't fly coach, and I don't like going into a hotel room and I can see the bed first. So the only way that I'm going to continue to thrive and to flourish is to remain in a state of flow. You can't be in flow when you're stagnant. And if that works for me, it'll work for anybody.
Wow.
Expect more.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys. Remember what I tell you at the end of all my broadcasts, you deserve the best. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve the best. Now go get it. Peace and blessings. And remember Psalm 147:3, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. I will see y'all Wednesday morning. We're coming on at 10 a.m. on Wednesday. 10 a.m. We're going to have our Wonder Woman Wednesday with Dr. D.C. Marshall, and you don't want to miss it. Love you, Dr. Young. Peace and blessings, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Love you too, babe. Bye-bye.